Hey guys, this is T. I know I've been a bit MIA recently, and that's because I'm going going through a downturn right now, and it's quite heavy. It's a bit brutal, and I'm still struggling at the moment. And this is how it is for people like us. This is how it is. Um, but anyway, I wanted to just say here that I one of my techniques I use to get through these types of moments, and when I say types of moments, I think you know what I mean. I mean when you're that low and you really believe at that point it just doesn't make any more sense, and it has keeps happening in cycles, and it's over and over and over. I tell myself, first of all, I know that what I don't want is to die. What I want is to get better. I can't get better if I die, so that's the whole thing, right? But that argument really gets thin when you're in it. So what I usually say is I remind myself verbally and consciously and cognitively that I'm living not for what I'm going through right now, but I'm living for the result of my efforts to fight it. I'm living for the great parts, the good things in life, because when you actually get the good things, like I get these small flashes, they last maybe a couple seconds, no lie. And it only happens a few times a year, to be honest. But in those couple seconds, I get this lift, this relief of the whole thing. I just experience what life really is like, and it's an absolutely beautiful thing that I want and I want more of, and I know that the answer is out there. We'll find it, and I'm willing to fight along with everybody else who's fighting to find it, be it doctors, scientists, or people who suffer from these ailments. I know I don't need to tell you that I know it is rough, and we can go into detail about how rough it is. Whatever condition or presentation of your MDD is, and I mean, I am appealing to even those who have conditions not as severe that would qualify as major depressive disorder. It doesn't matter. Depression is depression. The illness is the illness, right? My own is categorized as a mixed state at this point because it's so kind of crazy that the elements of it. I said I wouldn't talk about my diagnosis, but I could elaborate a little bit on things instead. It's a very complicated form of something that doesn't exist in or present in bipolar 1 or 2, but a variant of something in bipolar somewhere in, I didn't even know it existed, but I found the book. My doctor showed me the book actually, and I want to get it. I want to order it. And he highlights over 6 forms of bipolar and half forms of each form. Is crazy. I didn't even know. And all my research said, yeah, bipolar 1, bipolar 2. And the thing is, my condition doesn't really present on any of those. It just kind of like is a mess of a whole bunch of them in a way, which is why it's been diagnosed as mixed state, and it includes ultradian characteristics as well as low cycling that doesn't really ever go to mania, and it just kind of hovers underneath. It's a whole lot of stuff plus other things that I'll get into it at one point. But bottom line is this: I'm not comparing myself to anybody's illness. I'm not saying I'm more complicated than anybody. Well, I could be more complicated, but I'm not saying I'm worse off than anybody. Whatever you're suffering through it. Anytime these morbid thoughts come, they can be so powerful. that you just sometimes feel like you can't resist. But remember, guys, it comes from the same place that has the ability to. In other words, think about it like this: if your brain can develop those thoughts that are so strong, imagine what your brain can do if you decide to take over control of those thoughts and use them against the negative thoughts. It's a fantastic concept to think of, and yeah, it just a perspective, just a quick perspective. I was actually just casually speaking to someone who basically goes house to house and he does like yard work, and he's doing our yard, and he was only telling me this morning that he went to prison, right? Because he did work for someone, a big job, and when it came time to pay him, the guy started to give him all these excuses until eventually the guy kind of just cut him off. And one day he was driving and he saw the guy parked, and he came out and asked him for, like, what's going on? I can't get on to you and that kind of thing. And the guy went into his car and pulled out a cutlass, and he just like came at him with it, and he wrestled the guy till he got the cutlass from him, and literally just like swung back at him, and the guy got cut in his head, right? Went to court for it. Judge said you should have done the right thing, should have walked away, which makes no sense, right? You guy coming at you with a weapon, you're gonna turn your back to him. It makes no sense. Then the guy comes up with a story about he threw acid on him during the fight, so which makes no sense either. Why are you walking with acid? And then the judge had to admit that there was no evidence for the acid. But you know what? We're gonna give you however much time in jail, or you can pay the guy like 30 grand, which he ended up doing. And that allowed him to get out of jail in 8 months. But from now on, he has this permanent smirk on his name, right? And he had dreams of getting married. He had dreams of owning his own like truck and like having his own thing. That's what he is doing now. He's cleaning up yards. I mean, it's honest work, but just like that, your entire life gets thrown out. And he told me, what he said really hit me today. He said he doesn't know how. He has no idea how. He can't leave the country because of his status now. So he has no idea how he's going to be able to get married, have kids, support a family when he's making literally less than minimum wage. Apart from, and he has to travel like all over the country to do jobs for people. So, and he doesn't make a lot. I guarantee you, he doesn't make a lot, and he knows that. And he has it's a whole bunch of stuff. He has to pay a certain amount of things to NIS every month, and it's a lot of money. Even if I had to pay it out, it's a lot of money. So I told him I'll pray for him, I'll keep him in prayer. But he told me that when he goes and does the yard work, he just thinks. And he thinks not just about ways to fix his situation, but he thinks about like why he does what he does, why he just doesn't end it in some way. And he realized, he said, this is he's telling me, right? He's like, he realized because he doesn't want it to end. I mean, this is part of his life, and he's gonna fight. As he said, he's gonna fight till the end. He's gonna fight until he gets somewhere with it, and he's not going to give up on it, on life, on the challenge that he is in. And I have only told you part of his story. So when he said that, I myself started to consider, I mean, let me just say this last thing. I understand how out of reality you can end up feeling, so much so that even though these words of encouragement may not may just feel like just words. Everything feels flat. I just want you to remember one thing, that you are in a three-dimensional world that has not changed. What has changed is your perception of the world. So when you have life in you and you are in a good state, ever been in a good state and things were good, just remember those things have not changed. It's just your perception of it, and that is not an easy thing to overcome and undo, but it can be done. Even if I have to live with this for the rest of my life, just even if I do, I'm gonna find a way to turn this into the best way I can live, into the best version it is. So I just had to share with you. I decided I'm going to take my video chronicles offline as chronicles, but I'm going to continue to post, not on a schedule, but I'm going to continue to post and continue to look out for comments. When I can respond, when I'm mentally able, I will respond. I have not ignored the comments yet, so thus far. So please don't think that I have. And I will talk about other things about this topic, but as a chronicle, I will take that offline and just do a video chronicle with an app or something and keep it there, so on the cloud or something, so I don't have to worry about storage. But I had to share that with you all. Anyway, keep fighting, and keep fighting. All right, stay alive, stay well. All of us are gonna get there in some way or the other. Don't worry about it. As my doctor says, don't panic. Don't panic. Okay. I'm out for now, guys. Take care.